Hello, I'm here with Pawel Zubkiewicz. Thank you very much, Paweł, for your time and taking my invitation. It's really a pleasure to talk with you here today because we have a couple of interesting topics, and the main topic for today will be related to FinOps, but your application, which you created a few years ago, I think, and you're still developing it, and it's better and better and better. And I even started to recommend your application to other people. Who is Paweł? Paweł is a former community builder, AWS Hero, creator of Serverless newsletter in Poland, and of course, author of CloudPouch. And probably you will not agree with me, but I will say it, very, very important person in the AWS community landscape in Poland. So once again, thank you very much, Paweł, for joining me today.
Thank you, Pawel, for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. There was some long time since I recorded meeting like that, so a little bit, excited, mix of excitement, a little bit afraid, but it's really nice to talk about AWS and what is my passion. So serverless probably a little bit and cost optimization. Yeah, I'm a strange person. I like doing this.
Yes, sure. And serverless somehow leads to cost optimization, right?
Yeah. So if I may interject, so for
Sure,
me,
of course,
it was from the very beginning, and I started learning about AWS Cloud in 2016. So it was like I was already, professional IT person working in IT for many years. And in 2016, I just decided that I need to change my career and decided that cloud is the best direction for me. And AWS Cloud won the battle. At the very beginning, I started with Azure, but later I changed to AWS. And at this time, I wanted to create a small startup with my friend. We both had background in Java enterprise development. So we wanted to have Java servers and whole application running in AWS. And very soon, at the very beginning of touching AWS, it became to me apparent that this is extremely expensive for a side project. It was like, let's say, $300 per month just to have the proper enterprise environment for our application. So I started investigating other options, and I found serverless framework, and I started learning about serverless architecture. Long story short, I was able to write everything using serverless tools available at the time back then. And this really, changed how I look at cloud, because from the very beginning, I had to be frugal. That's the word I learned last year during the reInvent and Dr. Werner Vogel's keynote. Basically, for those who don't know this word, I didn't know it. I had to check it during the presentation, his presentation. It means that you don't overspend, that you think about cost, and that you choose right components, not only because of the technical aspects or characteristics, but also because of how much they cost. And for me, this was very natural because of my private project, and it really created me in a way that I always thinking about cost whenever I'm doing something new or changing the existing application. So yes, serverless and cost optimization are really tangled together, at least in my head.
Sure, that's a very good explanation, really, and thank you for sharing your story here. I wonder, just to jump for a second to serverless, because you said you started in 2016, and I remember those times. By the way, I remember the day where S3 went down, and it was like a huge problem. It was really the internet was down, right, at that time. But at that time, really, serverless was not that well optimized, right? Especially in terms of cold start and so on. And was it like a problem for you at that time?
In my personal project, it wasn't, because cold start was something that we accepted. It was a trade-off with the cost, because we were able to save so much money. Basically, we were running it for free, which is excellent, great, right? Even
It's good
nowadays.
price, yes.
Yeah, and when I was starting, just to give you the context, Lambda function cannot be invoked by SQSQ. So you had to run your Lambda function on a schedule, and each time Lambda function had to connect to SQS and check if there are any messages. So one of the biggest announcements that I still remember was introduction of pulling and having SQSQ as an automated trigger to Lambda functions. So that was really long time ago, and serverless right now is a really mature technology. To be honest, a little bit boring because of it. It's really hard to imagine new things that are necessary right now to build robust enterprise level applications. Basically, there is almost everything that you can imagine. Of course, there's still room for improvement, and AWS is doing this. You mentioned the cold start. So this is something which is actually great about serverless, because I, as a client, I'm doing nothing, and AWS is improving how my application works. Of course, there is some kind of knowledge how to build Lambda functions, not to put a lot of dependencies, etc. So there is also responsibility on me as a programmer. But once I do it properly, with the time, AWS will improve their side, and the result is that the application is working better, it scales better, it's faster, and I don't have to invest any of my time. So that's
Sure.
amazing still.
Yeah, that is correct. And I agree with you that for now, today, and don't get us wrong, for now today serverless is a little bit boring. That's the fact, right? And yeah, so let's stop talking about boring things, and
Okay.
let's talk a little bit about your community involvement, because you were the community builder in AWS community builder program. Now you are AWS Hero. You do a lot of another things like talks, being on conferences, speaking on meetups, and so on and so on. How you find yourself in this community life? Because I believe you like it because you do it, but
So on a personal note, I really like public presentations. So that's one ticked box for me. And also I like sharing knowledge. I guess I like teaching people. And back then, when serverless was really exciting and it was new thing, there was this need to like showing it to the people. So that's why I got involved. On the other hand, I started my career many years ago, and around 2009, I was a leader of Wrocław Java user group. It's still there, so hi guys, if anyone is watching this. So for me, like being in a community and sharing your knowledge, learning from others, attending conferences was always part of this job, a huge part of this job. And I guess there's also this aspect of giving you like the good morale, the boost that sometimes at work you're doing boring stuff that it's like you are not proud of it, but that's the reality of life. And whenever you are down because of it, when you attend a conference and start hearing about new technologies or great projects that people did, it's like good. For me, at least, it's like I am never envy in a bad way about other people's successes. So it's more like they motivate me. Oh, if they had great project or they have used this technology on production and it's working, that means I can do it as well. I just need to, I don't know, work more or look for better opportunities. But this always motivates me. And it's still, sometimes people are asking me, why do you like to go to reInvent? And this is one of the things, because it motivates me for the next year. This is excellent conference, by the way, but also on a personal level, it really gives me a lot of this energy for staying current, which is hard job, by the way, with the technology within AWS. So,
oh yes, that is true, and I cannot agree more with you. And to those who are watching this, from the audience perspective, being on Pawel's talk and saw a couple of Paweł talks, really worth to attend. Really
thank you.
good and really enjoyable, and a lot of knowledge is there. So yeah, if you have the opportunity, go there. So after this, I think we need to find a bigger room for you during the AWS Community Day next year. Anyway, let's go to the most interesting part, really, when we will connect FinOps with your work, and we will share the things and how your software works in terms of helping people to better organize and better understand their costs in AWS environment. Because you are author of CloudPouch. I remember how it started, like a small side project, I think. I don't know if you had this in mind that it will become such tool. And I remember that you gradually started to add new features, new services to be analyzed, and so on and so on and so on. So tell us, please, how it came to your mind that you want to create this, and where you are with the product now.
Okay, so this application started in 2021, and I'm still developing it and adding new functionalities, after hours. So this is from the, perspective of doing a startup. This is bootstrapping. I'm an indie developer. I'm doing it all alone. There is no funding, nothing. So everything there is only my knowledge inside of it. And I started this application because I wanted to learn about the costs for a particular client of mine. And Cost Explorer wasn't good enough, in my opinion. And over the years, by the way, Cost Explorer, of course, evolved, and it's much, much better, but still CloudPouch offers some perspectives, or at least usability, which in my opinion are better than Cost Explorer. So first, I wanted to be able to see those costs in a better way. So I wanted to have predefined reports, so I will not have to click around in Cost Explorer every time that I want to see something. Next, I wanted to be able to collate like current month with previous month and 6 months to see some kind of patterns, whether we are paying more, we are paying less. And after having this, I wanted to also see this divided by different services. So we have EC2 instances, we have databases, we have DynamoDB, etc. So I wanted to see, because this total number, it can only tell you whether we are moving up or down in terms of cost, but you don't have information what is driving the change, whether this is good change or bad change. Doesn't matter. This is another information. So I incorporated all of this, added some, dynamic charts. So you're clicking on some colorful bar, and the table is filtering, stuff like that. So the slogan of the CloudPouch is see, understand, reduce AWS costs. So at the very beginning, it was according to the slogan. I wanted to give people visibility so they can see. And later on, I started noticing that I really don't understand everything around the costs. So in AWS cost, there is this term which is called usage type. So each AWS service have a list of usage types. So for example, when you have S3, you have usage type that defines how much storage you have over time in your S3 bucket. But there is another usage type that is responsible for calculating the costs of each request to your files on S3 bucket. Of course, in S3 bucket, there are probably a few hundred usage types. And in all AWS, I would say 10,000 different usage types altogether. By the way, don't check this number. It's like random from my head, but it is a huge number. And AWS is not really good in explaining those usage types. Up till this day, there are some usage types which are really not documented at all. And it's even hard to get the information from support, what they are really and how are calculated. But basically, moving back to CloudPouch. So for those usage types which were described, I just taken the information from AWS documentation and I put it in the CloudPouch. So now when you are looking at the cost of your particular service, let's say S3, you see the explanations of each usage type, which allows you to understand better for what you are paying. And for me, this is like the chain. First, you need to see the cost, then you need to understand them. And, understanding the usage types, it's crucial. Later on, you can start optimizing. And those things that allow you to find optimizations were added into the application as a last step. Because at the beginning, I didn't even know how to optimize some things. It started naturally. Someone asked me to, focus on this particular area of the system and try to identify ways of saving money. And now I have, experience, and a lot of this experience have been coded into some kind of automations in the CloudPouch. So now you're just clicking a button, and after a few seconds, for example, you have a list of RDS databases which are not used because no one is connecting to those databases for over 14 days. That's my cutoff day. If you don't connect to the database over 2 weeks, that means it is not used. So what you should do is just snapshot it and turn it off, delete it, because AWS is starting it again after 1 week, so you will still pay for it after 1 week. So that's one thing to do it. The other things is like recently, 2 days ago, I added right sizing recommendations for EC2 servers. So whenever you have server, usually they are over provisioned. So instead of having the huge instance, maybe you should go with a smaller instance. Maybe you should go with the instance that have the same amount of RAM, but worse processor, which means it is cheaper, but still more than good enough for this current workload that you are having. And this allows you to save a lot of money. And I have, around 15 different ways of automatically finding some waste, which means idle or misconfigured resources. So, for example, snapshots of databases that are no longer with you. In some of the cases, this is not needed anymore. Also, popular things is ECR. So you are uploading images of containers, and you don't have to have the history of all your images, but you are paying for storage. Also, storage, there's S3, but with S3 it's a little bit harder. But let's move maybe to one of the first cost optimizations that I added was DynamoDB. In DynamoDB, you have two modes. You have a provisioned mode and on-demand mode. So on-demand mode means that it is automatically scaling and you don't need to think about how much read and write capacity you need, but it is more expensive. However, when you are doing development, having more expensive on-demand tables is beneficial for you because they are scaling to zero and you don't need to pay anything for DynamoDB tables, which are not used like after hours, or maybe you have integration environment which is used from time to time before some kind of release or other types of work that you do. So over the years, I gathered a lot of this knowledge, and if it was possible, I included it in CloudPouch. And this is beneficial to my clients. This is also beneficial to me because whenever I'm going to the client and doing cost optimization, I have this already implemented, and it saves me so much time because it is automated.
Yeah, the automation here is very important. And for those of you who would like to check how CloudPouch looks and how it works, go to cloudpouch.dev webpage, and then you can download this software. And important thing, that's one of the few, if not only one, application which is really standalone, right? And desktop application. So you don't need to have any other web service just to use this. And right now, we stop our discussion here in the videocast, and somewhere there is the link to the full interview. So let's jump there and enjoy the presentation, because now Paweł will do the demo. And just to give you the hint, let's jump to this, and you can see how CloudPouch looks on the beginning. And now we cut and see you in the other video then. Okay, so we continue our discussion. Right now we are in the demo mode. So Paweł, if you would like to do some presentation, show us interesting things about the tool itself, how it works, and so on, the stage is yours, and I'm just silent and watching.
I'm glad to. So, as you mentioned in a previous part of this episode, this application is unique because it is desktop application. It is available on all operating systems. It is using Electron underneath, so it works everywhere. And because it is desktop, it has some unique features. One biggest advantage of it is that I, as a company behind the CloudPouch, I don't have access to any of your billing data. Everything that you see here in the application is just on your computer. Every data that you fetch from your AWS accounts is saved on your computer in the temp directory. So no data, no sensitive data is sent to any of my servers or cloud backend. And you can see on the left part of the application, here are the AWS profiles. So those are loaded automatically from your files in your system. If you have AWS command line interface, you already have some profiles defined in credentials file. So this is loaded automatically. And you can just switch between different accounts by, just clicking on the menu on the left side, and data will be loaded for this particular account. It depends on how big the account is, obviously. This is rather big account because so far this month they paid over $100,000. So there is a lot of billing data. That's why it took a few seconds to load. And before I mentioned that when creating this application, I wanted a predefined dashboards. So this is basically how the application looks like. At the top, we have the summary of how much we paid in this current month. So since the 1st of June till today. There is this graph that shows how much we are paying in each region. So Ireland is almost 50% of cost for this particular account. And here we have the same data, but on a bar chart divided by each day. Later on, I will say that why I bought some of the dates. Those are the weekends. This is very useful in optimization. At the bottom, we have top 5 contributors to cost. So this account is heavy using EC2 instances and some RDS. EC2 order, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's not a service per se. It's an accounting category. So under EC2 order, we will have data transfer, we'll have EBS volumes, so disk drives attached to EC2, and several other things. So this was, by the way, something that when I was starting with cost optimization, I was always baffled with it. What the hell is EC2 order? There is no service like EC2 order. Up till this day, I don't know why AWS created it, why it's not all in the compute, but that's the reality. And you have different categories. So below there is a table with a list of services that are used. It is of course sorted by the total spend. And when you go inside of it, you will see only cost for this particular AWS service. So a moment ago, I was talking about different usage types. And here are the different usage types. And you have different graphs because sometimes it is more useful to see the data from the different perspective, like for example this one. And here we can see that the C5A that 4x large is the biggest part of the spend in this account. So this is just an instance type of virtual server that it is used on this account. So similar information is for each application, each service, and you can analyze it and see what's important for you. And below there is the raw list of EC2 usage types. Those usage types, they have prefixes by the region. So there is, of course, the complexity with regions, which is 20 something nowadays. So that's why some of those are duplicated, but they are coming from different regions. So that's how it looks like. And maybe let's move back to this account, which is smaller. We can see already just clicking, and we can see that this account costed only $4,000 per month, not $100,000. So here we can, I would like to demonstrate a few other things for you. So for example, those automated checks. When you go to the particular service, you have this button, check cost insights. What is happening now? Application is using your credentials, is already connected, is connecting to AWS account, and is listing the resources, in this case, EBS volumes and not gateways, and is checking whether those resources are properly utilized or not. It is also fetching additional information because we also have information about the shutdown EC2 instances. So we have 14 EBS volumes attached to shutdown EC2 instances. What that means? You are not paying for the virtual server because it is shut down, but you are still paying for the EBS volume because that's how the pricing is constructed. And in this case, you could save $160 if you would perform some action to like terminate those instances, snapshot them, and terminate those volumes, sorry, not instances, in order to save money, which would be a 33%. Of course, maybe $160 is not much, but that's the principle. I have accounts. Like 2 days ago, sometimes someone asked me, what are the sizes of AWS accounts on which you work on and on which you perform cost optimizations? So in my opinion, like the minimal value is around $3,000 per month. You can start optimizing and gain some money by it. But the biggest account so far I optimized, it was 1.5 million per month.
That's a lot.
Again, 1.5 million per month. So believe me, you can save like $100,000 easily on EBS volumes if you have a mass and huge account. So when you click on it, you have a list of volumes, you have a list of EC2 instances, and how much you are paying for it, how much you are also paying cumulatively. So this instance was shut down 7 months ago. And since that moment, you are needlessly paying for this volume. Okay, this is not much because this is small account, probably some test account of one of the clients, 20 gigabytes. Of course, the IDs are grayed out, but normally you can see in application all of the IDs of volumes and instance IDs. So you can just copy them and go to the web console and investigate further. So that's one of the things. Other things, NAT gateways. So a lot of waste around NAT gateways because people are creating them. So the servers from private subnets can connect to internet, but after they stop working on some particular functionality and the servers are shut down, NAT gateways remain. And therefore, I added this functionality, which shows you all of the NAT gateways on this account in all of the regions. And at the bottom, we have the red rows. And you can see that those NAT gateways are not used. Why they are not used? Because there are no running EC2 instances, this is this column, and there are no stopped instances at all. So those VPCs are empty. Of course, there is a chance that there is a Lambda function in this VPC, and it would be running. However, there is the column of data transfer. And as you can see, there is no transfer. This information, by the way, is sourced from the CloudWatch metrics. And it's not like a magic, what you see here. Everything that is in this application, you can do manually, but it is really hard to, combine this massive amount of resources and join data from different things. So like in this case, you have information about VPC, you have information about NAT gateways, and you have also information about data transfer. So, and also about EC2 instances. So there are several sources that are here just to display this simple table. But this simple table gives you information that could allow you to save $262 on those unused NAT gateways. You can also investigate if you need a NAT gateway through which 2 kilobytes over the last 14 days has been transferred. So that's an example, and there is a lot of
just to jump here, because you mentioned earlier that it's not a lot, but when we sum up those two positions, right, for NAT gateways and then for EBS together, it's almost 400. So it's like 1/10, more or less.
Yeah.
So it's still significant saving.
Yes. So in my experience, because CloudPouch is an application and you can download it, you can buy a subscription and you can use it. I also, as a consultant, I am providing services when companies are hiring me and I'm performing cost audit for them. And in my experience from those works is that smallest amount that I was able to save to my client was 13% of the total monthly spend, but the biggest was 62%, which is massive amount of saved money, 62%. And depending on the size of the account, sometimes it is after some amount of money which is spent by month, like let's say $100,000, it's not about the percentage, it's about the hard dollars, because those numbers are so big that you are saving a lot of dollars, even if this is just 5%. If this 5% gives you $1 million savings over the year, it's worth it for my clients. So the spread of application of CloudPouch is really huge, and even if there are very big accounts, you can apply the same approach to those to finding those savings. Also, there is something called anomaly, so you can check what happened here. So in this case, that was the first day, so maybe that's not that obvious. Here it was first day as well, but you can see that on the first day there was some additional cost. It's actually a heavy usage. So on this day, AWS charged some money connected with reserved instances. But you can see it because there is an icon that informs you that there was something going on in there. So that's one of the things. What I haven't showed yet is that I have those 4 time periods: current month, previous month, last 6 months, and a year. And I decided at the very beginning of creating the application that I want those fixed time frames, because I need to collate the current state with the previous month and the history of 6 months or the whole year. And it is really, really beneficial in my opinion, because in comparison to Cost Explorer, you always have to choose the dates, or those dates are changing, and if you are in the middle of the month, you are starting from the middle of the month, and it's hard to combine. I think that for people, it is much easier to think in terms of months. That's why in this application, months or days are always displayed. And in this case, you can see what happened over last year. Maybe I would choose some other account. By the way, I don't really know what's going on those accounts, because those names here that are just generic, and I, for the purpose of recording this demo, I changed the names, so I don't recognize which client it is, etc. But those are the real accounts. So here we have a rather bigger account, 3.5 million per year, and we can see that there was some significant improvement or reduction in costs. So one of the things that I would be really interested is what changed between August and October, right? And there are two ways of doing this in this application. But before we go there, probably you are wondering why there is this blue line. So Each month has different number of days, right? From 28 days up to 31 days. And the difference in those days makes it really hard to combine one month to another. That's why there is something called like a normalization. And normalization is basically the assumption that each month is equal and has 4 days. And then we can combine those months equally. So to do it, I'm just calculating the daily average, and this daily average is displayed here. That's why we can see that between October and November, the total spent is almost the same, but we can see that there is a difference in the daily average. And in November, the daily average went up. So something was going on and increased this. But okay, let's see how we can collate the costs. So one way of collating the cost is like clicking on the chart. Let's click on this yellow part, and we can see what changed below because the table below has been filtered. So we see that the yellow blocks, the cost associated with Ireland, and we clicked on September. And there are two AWS services here displayed, and we also have the information about what changed to the previous month. So what was the difference between September and August in Ireland? If we click on it, we'll have the details at the usage type level. So we can see that there was a lot of M4X large instances in the previous month, but they were reduced, and the reduction is like 11%, and they saved almost $6,000 only by this change, and that has driven down the whole costs between this month and the previous month. So that's one way of combining it. But there is more generic way that combines everything from the whole account. So let's see maybe what has changed since August to October. So there is additional dashboard for this, where you are selecting 2 months. Okay, on the recording you don't see it, but there is a drop down with the months. So August. And we wanted to compare with October, right? And now you can see the report what has changed. And immediately from the graph, you can see that was the main driver. And this is easy to order. So this magic category that is a little bit mysterious for most of the people that are using AWS. So the absolute difference, and we are comparing only 2 months, like the months in the middle are ignored. We are just comparing August with October. The difference was $100,000, 30% less. And here, if you understand the usage types, you can understand what really happened on those accounts. What was the main driver behind it, and you have all of the information. So $91,000 less on EC2 order. What was the main driver here? Disk drives, GP3 disk drives, less by 66%. The same drives in Ireland, etc. So a lot of these drives has been removed. That's why there was a huge saving on this account. But there are also other cases that you can notice, and I will show this to you right now by this comparison. But this needs to be loaded. So here we have other account that had the huge decrease in cost between September and October. So let's check again what happened. And why I'm showing this to you, because in one way, this is like an actual proof that you can achieve a lot of savings and there is huge potential. But also I'm showing it to you that looking at the history of costs, you can learn a lot. And this is basically the way how I learned. I was just looking at costs, and whenever I don't understand what happened, I am, putting imaginary hat on my head, taking the spying glass and investigating what happened. So for me, there is always like a detective story behind the costs. And I know I'm really strange in that way, but for me, like looking at costs and optimizing them, uh, it's a little bit like a game, a little bit like a challenge. I really like to look at costs and trying to create a story what happened. And then I'm asking clients, okay, I looked at your costs over the months, and I think you did that and that, and later on that. And usually I'm right, and clients are really surprised. Like for them, it's like magic, like looking at spying glass and seeing what happened. So here is one of those stories that I want to show, because just looking at the usage types, I was able to understand what was done. So here we have EC2 order, right? 50,000 less, $50,000 less. And we can see NAT gateway bytes. So we are paying for the transfer that goes through NAT gateway. And this is really expensive stuff. And we can see that they reduced it by $18,000 in Ireland. Then they reduced data transfer regional bytes, again with the cost. NAT gateway in Frankfurt, again reduced the transfer costs, and I could go on and go on because of the different regions here. What was the reason behind it? Something that allows you to save a lot of money, as you can see on this example, 50K, for example. If you don't have VPC endpoints as free gateway and DynamoDB, you should create them, and you should change your routing table to make the data go through those endpoints and not over the NAT gateway and in theory public internet. It doesn't mean I'm not talking about the security here. I'm talking only about the costs, because sending data from your EC2 instances to S3 using NAT gateway is just a costly mistake, and you can avoid it pretty easily by adding a gateway, S3 gateway, to your VPC and configuring the routing table so this data is saved directly into S3. And this is what just looking at those costs, it was like obvious to me what they did when I did it, because I know that was between September and October. So that's it. The billing data tells you a story about what happens with your accounts, and that was one of the cases. I don't know. Is it like I am total nerd, Pavel, or not?
No, you are definitely not. And this is something what is very, very important. And also you shared some tips really how to do the proper architecture in AWS. Unfortunately, our time is going to end. So I really encourage everyone to go to cloudpouch.dev. There will be a link in the description of this video and video with videocast to go there, try the application, and maybe even subscribe to the plan. I think this will help Pavel to do even more great things in the tool. Just to give you my private small interactions with CloudPouch when you started to develop it, it was really somewhere in the beginning, and I tried to test it. I immediately found something what I missed earlier, and even then, on the beginning of the road, it was already useful. So now I think that's the tool has hopefully great future in front of it. So it looks really great. It looks really useful. And yeah, again, I encourage everyone to use it.
So I would like to add two things. You don't need a credit card. There is 7-day fully functional trial, so you can check it. And you can check it on any account. So like you see the list of profiles here, they belong to different companies, and application is created in a way that you can use it almost with any account. But with regard to like using this application and how it may impact your career, and moving back to the FinOps discussions. So FinOps is developing as a framework and organization behind it very well. I have huge respect to them and to the leader, J.R. Stormont, because I've been in several other organizations like that before, or have been certified at least with TOGAF and business analysis from IBA. And in my opinion, FinOps is managed in the best way. It is really easy for people to gain the knowledge, and it is designed in very good way. There is nothing strange. There are no needless abstractions. It is really easy to start using it and getting. It is very practical, right? And it is not like a theory defined by some enterprise architects, how they are imagining the world. No, this is like best practices learned from the practice of big companies. So that's in general, but how does it apply maybe to you, dear listener? So this FinOps there is only one, there is no competition. There is only one framework around costs in the cloud. So it will prevail, and it will be more and more common. And because of this, there will be bigger impact on how you develop applications. People will start requiring from developers, cloud engineers, and architects knowledge about costs. And maybe at the beginning, very simple knowledge, really obvious best practices, but still. So I'm not even talking about my tool, which helps you see those costs and learn those costs. And my experience is that you need to look at costs to start understanding them. But in general, over the years, you will have to be more aware of what FinOps is saying. You will have to be more aware of your decisions in terms of cost. So basically, it all boils down that cost will be another non-functional requirement, such as security nowadays.
And take this advice to your heart, because this is very, very, very good advice. And FinOps Foundation, you can find it under the link finops.org. And FinOps Foundation is part of Linux Foundation. So quite a big stuff is behind. Pawel, thank you very much for your time. It was really great to see the tool, really great to talk with you about your experiences and listen to your advices. Thank you very much for that. And really, I wish you good luck with CloudPouch and the application, and anything what you will come in the future.
It was really a pleasure. I like to talk about this, and we haven't mentioned it, but one last thing that why I also like to do it. It's not only because my application, and obviously this was a form of advertisement, but remember, every dollar that you are saving on any AWS account, in part saves electricity. And electricity, if we are using less of it, it saves our planet. So it doesn't matter that the cloud providers are using this so-called green energy. If we all use it less, this green energy, there will be more green energy for other purposes, like electric cars, for example. So there's also this aspect of sustainability. And I know this is not very important for many companies, but please be aware that you are also doing something good for planet when you are just turning off your servers. So yeah, do this.
And yes, and with this bombshell, we finish our interview, Pawel. Thank you very much. This was a great advice on the end. It should be important for us. Thank you again. See you in the next episode, and see you somewhere there.
Bye.